In the cold, endless expanse of space, a small alien probe drifted silently through the darkness. It was shaped like a sleek metallic disk, its surface glinting faintly as it caught the light of distant stars. The probe belonged to the Zorathian Empire, a powerful and ancient civilization that ruled over dozens of star systems. Its mission was simple: scan for signs of life, catalog any new species it encountered, and send the data back to its creators. For centuries, this process had been routine, almost boring. But today, something unusual caught its attention. Far ahead, orbiting the edge of a dying star, was a massive human warship. The ship floated quietly in the void, its hull marked with scratches and scars from countless battles. This vessel was called the *US Vanguard*, and it represented the cutting edge of Earth's technology. Commanded by Captain Laura Hayes, a woman known for her sharp mind and unyielding determination, the Vanguard* carried some of humanity's most advanced weapons and experimental systems. Though humans were still newcomers to interstellar travel, they had made remarkable progress in a short time. The alien probe didn't hesitate. It activated its scanning equipment, sending out invisible beams of energy to analyze the human ship. Back on the Zorathian mothership, Commander Vexer watched as streams of data began flowing onto his screen. He leaned forward, intrigued. At first glance, the human craft seemed primitive compared to Zorathian vessels. Its design was bulky, and its engines appeared inefficient. But as more information came in, Vexer's eyes widened in surprise. The scans revealed that the Vanguard* was equipped with weapons far deadlier than anything the Zorathians had expected from such an inexperienced species. Meanwhile, aboard the Vanguard*, Lieutenant Ryan Carter sat at his station on the bridge. A young officer with a knack for noticing details others missed, he frowned as he detected strange energy readings coming from outside the ship. "Captain," he said, turning to Laura Hayes, "we've got something out there. Some kind of probe, maybe? It's scanning us." Laura stood up straight, her sharp green eyes narrowing. She trusted Ryan's instincts, so she immediately took the warning seriously. "How close is it?" she asked calmly, though her hand instinctively moved toward the communicator strapped to her belt. "Not very," Ryan replied, typing rapidly on his console. "But whatever it is, it's poking around our shields and systems pretty aggressively. I don't think it's friendly." Laura nodded. If there was one thing humanity had learned during its brief journey into space, it was to never underestimate potential threats. "Raise the shields," she ordered, "and bring all weapon systems online. Let's make sure they know we're ready for them." Across the ship, alarms blared as the crew sprang into action. Engineers rushed to reinforce the power grid, while gunners prepared the turrets for possible combat. Even Dr. Emily Grant, the ship's science officer, left her lab to assist with analyzing the mysterious object outside. Back on the Zorathian side, Commander Vexer continued studying the incoming data. What he saw both fascinated and unsettled him. Humanity wasn't just capable of building ships that could travel between stars. They also had developed weapon systems capable of causing devastation on a scale the Zorathians hadn't anticipated. Was this species truly as primitive as they had assumed, or had they underestimated humans entirely? Before Vexer could decide what to do next, the situation escalated. Without warning, the Vanguard* fired a pulse of electromagnetic energy directly at the probe. The blast struck true, frying the probe's circuits and reducing it to little more than floating debris. On board the Zorathian mothership, alarms screamed as the loss of the probe registered. Vexer stared at his screen in shock. Humanity had acted faster, and more decisively, than anyone could have predicted. For the first time in centuries, doubt crept into the minds of the Zorathians. They had always seen themselves as the dominant force in the galaxy. But now, facing this unexpected challenge, they realized that humanity might be far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The destruction of the alien probe sent ripples of confusion and panic through the Zorathian mothership. Commander Vexer stood frozen for a moment, staring at the blank screen where data from the probe had once streamed in. The humans had acted so quickly, too quickly. It was as if they had been expecting trouble all along. His mind raced with questions. How had they detected the probe? Why had they reacted with such aggression? And most importantly, what did this mean for the Zorathians? Admiral Krylax stormed onto the bridge moments later, his tall frame radiating authority. He was a seasoned leader, known for his cold logic and unyielding ambition. When he saw the empty display where the probe's readings should have been, his sharp eyes narrowed into slits. "What happened?" he demanded, his voice cutting through the tense silence like a blade. Vexer hesitated before answering. "The probe. It was destroyed," he admitted, choosing his words carefully. "The humans fired some kind of electromagnetic pulse. It disabled the probe completely." Krylax's expression darkened. "You're telling me these primitives, not even a century into their space exploration, managed to destroy one of our advanced probes? With a single shot?" Vexer nodded, feeling the weight of his superior's glare. "Yes, Admiral. And there's more. Before the probe went offline, it transmitted partial scans of their ship. Their technology is surprising. They have weapons systems far beyond what we anticipated. If they can disable one of our probes that easily, I fear engaging them directly could be risky." Krylax didn't respond immediately. Instead, he turned to the main view screen, which displayed an image of the asterisk U.S. Vanguard asterisk. The human warship looked unremarkable at first glance. Its bulky design lacked the sleek elegance of Zorathian vessels. But appearances could be deceiving, and Krylax knew it. Humanity had proven themselves unpredictable, and unpredictability was something the Zorathians hadn't faced in centuries. On board the asterisk Vanguard asterisk, the mood was equally tense. Captain Laura Hayes paced across the bridge, her boots clicking softly against the metal floor. Her crew worked quietly, keeping their focus on their tasks, but she could feel the unease hanging over them like a storm cloud. No one spoke about what might come next, but everyone knew the stakes. If the aliens decided to attack, the odds were not in their favor. Lieutenant Ryan Carter approached her cautiously. "Captain," he said, holding a tablet in his hands, "we've analyzed the energy signature of whatever was scanning us. It matches patterns we've seen in other alien tech. Whoever, or whatever, they are, they're definitely not friendly." Laura glanced at the tablet, then back at Ryan. "Do we know how many ships they have out there?" Ryan shook his head. "Not yet. But based on the strength of that scan, I'd say they're close. Probably just outside visual range." Laura frowned. She hated uncertainty. Every instinct told her to prepare for the worst, but she also knew rushing into action without proper information could get her crew killed. Turning to Dr. Emily Grant, who stood nearby, she asked, "Any luck deciphering anything else from their tech?" Emily adjusted her glasses and sighed. "Not much. Whatever they use to scan us has layers of encryption we've never seen before. It'll take time to break through, assuming we even can. But one thing's clear, they're way ahead of us technologically." Laura nodded slowly. Time was a luxury they might not have. Still, she refused to let fear dictate her decisions. "Keep working on it," she told Emily. Then, raising her voice slightly so the entire bridge could hear, she added, "Everyone stay sharp. We don't know what's coming next, but we'll face it together. That's what we do." As the hours passed, both sides remained locked in a tense standoff. The Zorathians debated their next move, torn between curiosity and caution. Admiral Krylax wanted to launch a full-scale assault, convinced that humanity needed to be dealt with swiftly. But Vexer argued against it, pointing out the risks involved. Humans were clearly capable of defending themselves, and attacking blindly could lead to disastrous consequences for both sides. Finally, after much deliberation, Vexer made a bold suggestion. "Admiral," he began cautiously, "perhaps we should try communicating with them. If we can establish a dialogue, we may learn more about their intentions, and avoid unnecessary conflict. Krylax considered this for a long moment. Though reluctant to show weakness, he couldn't deny the logic in Vexor's proposal. After all, understanding their enemy was often the first step toward defeating them. With a curt nod, he gave the order. Prepare a transmission. Let's see if these humans are as clever as they seem. The message came in faint bursts of static, crackling through the Vanguard's communication system like a distant radio signal. At first, it was incomprehensible, a jumble of sounds and tones that seemed almost alien in nature. But Dr. Emily Grant didn't waste a second. She rushed to her station on the bridge, her fingers flying over the controls as she activated the ship's translation software. The program had been designed to interpret unknown languages by analyzing patterns and frequencies, and now it was their best hope for understanding what the aliens were trying to say. Captain Laura Hayes watched intently, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. "Can you make sense of it?" she asked, her voice steady, but tinged with urgency. Emily nodded without looking up. "It's processing now. Give me a minute." Her eyes darted across the screen as lines of data scrolled rapidly. Then, suddenly, the garbled noise began to shift. Words started forming, broken and fragmented at first, but gradually clearer. The message wasn't long, but its meaning was unmistakable. We seek no harm. We wish to speak. Laura let out a slow breath, though her expression remained cautious. Turning to Lieutenant Ryan Carter, who stood nearby, she said, "Did they send any visuals? Anything to show where this message is coming from?" Ryan shook his head. "No visuals yet, just the audio. But the source matches the location of that probe we took out earlier. They're close." Laura frowned. Trusting an unknown species after such a hostile encounter felt risky, but ignoring the message altogether could escalate things further. She turned back to Emily. "Can we respond? Do we have anything set up for interstellar communication?" Emily hesitated, then nodded. "We can use the same frequency they sent on. I'll patch it through the main comms array." "But, Captain, what exactly do we say?" Laura thought for a moment. She knew her response would set the tone for whatever happened next. "Keep it simple," she finally said. "Tell them we acknowledge their message and are willing to listen, but make it clear we're prepared to defend ourselves if needed." Emily worked quickly, typing out a short reply. When she finished, she looked up at Laura for confirmation. Laura gave a sharp nod, and Emily pressed the transmit button. For a few tense seconds, there was only silence. Then, another burst of static filled the air, followed by a new message. This time, the words were clearer. "Your strength is noted. We mean no threat." On the Zorathian mothership, Commander Vexor listened carefully as the human response translated into his own language. He allowed himself a small smile. Humans were intelligent. They understood the importance of caution while leaving room for negotiation. Admiral Krylax, however, scowled at the screen displaying the exchange. "They're stalling," Krylax growled. "This could be a trick to buy time." Vexor shook his head. "I don't think so, Admiral." Their message was direct and firm. "They're showing restraint, not weakness. If anything, they're trying to avoid conflict just like us." Krylax snorted but said nothing. Reluctantly, he motioned for Vexor to continue the dialogue. "Fine. Send another message. Ask them who they are and why they're here." Back on the Vanguard the crew gathered around as Emily received the follow-up question. Once again, she worked to translate it before replying. Laura dictated her answer aloud. "Tell them we are humans from Earth, exploring space to learn and grow. And ask them the same question. Who are they? And why did they scan our ship?" The exchange continued back and forth, each side probing cautiously for information. With every message, the tension aboard both ships eased slightly, though neither fully trusted the other. The Zorathians revealed little about themselves, referring only to their empire and its vast reach across the stars. Humans, in turn, shared basic details about Earth and their fledgling efforts to explore beyond their solar system. As the conversation stretched on, Laura noticed something odd. The Zorathians seemed hesitant to share specifics about their technology or military capabilities. It was as if they were holding back, not out of arrogance, but out of fear. Fear of humanity. The realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. Could it be true? Had their quick destruction of the probe actually intimidated these advanced beings? She glanced at Ryan, who was monitoring the energy readings outside the ship. "Anything unusual?" she asked quietly. Ryan shook his head. "Nothing new. Still just the one vessel out there. But—" he hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Their scan stopped completely after we fired that pulse. It's like they're scared to provoke us again." Laura raised an eyebrow. Scared? That didn't fit with what she'd imagined when she first encountered the mysterious probe. Yet the evidence was hard to ignore. Perhaps humanity's unpredictability was its greatest strength. Finally, the Zorathians sent one last message. "We will withdraw for now. Further contact may come later." Without waiting for a reply, their signal cut off abruptly. For a long moment, the bridge of the Vanguard was silent. Then, slowly, murmurs of relief spread among the crew. They had faced an unknown enemy, and somehow they had walked away unscathed. Laura stared at the empty view screen, her mind racing. Whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain: humanity had made its presence known, and the galaxy would never be the same. After the abrupt end of communication, the Vanguard drifted in silence, its crew left to process what had just happened. The Zorathians' sudden withdrawal felt like a victory, but it also raised more questions than answers. Why had they backed down so quickly? Was this truly over, or were they simply regrouping for something bigger? Captain Laura Hayes stood at the center of the bridge, her sharp eyes scanning the faces of her team. Everyone looked tense, their relief overshadowed by uncertainty. Lieutenant Ryan Carter broke the quiet. "Captain, should we follow them?" he asked, his voice low. "If they're retreating, maybe we can track their movements and learn more about where they came from." Laura shook her head firmly. "No, we don't know enough about their technology, or their intentions, to risk chasing them into unknown territory. For now, we stay put and monitor the situation." She turned to Dr. Emily Grant, who was still seated at her station. "Emily, did you manage to gather any useful data during that exchange?" Emily nodded, though her expression was troubled. "A little. Their language patterns suggest they're highly organized, possibly militaristic. But their messages were deliberately vague. They didn't give us anything concrete about their empire, or why they decided to leave so suddenly." Laura frowned. Something about the encounter gnawed at her. The Zorathians were clearly advanced, yet their behavior seemed almost cautious. It was as if they were afraid of humanity. The thought was unsettling. How could a species so far ahead of Earth feel threatened by them? On the Zorathian mothership, the atmosphere was equally strained. Admiral Krylax paced the command deck, his frustration evident in every step. "This is unacceptable," he muttered under his breath. "We let them dictate terms. We retreated. What will the Council think when they hear of this?" Commander Vexer stood nearby, trying to remain calm despite the mounting pressure. "Admiral, we acted wisely," he said carefully. "Their reaction to our probe proved they are not to be underestimated. Engaging them directly could have led to unnecessary losses." Krylax spun around, his eyes blazing with anger. "Losses? Do you realize what you're saying? We are the Zorathian Empire. No one challenges us, not primitives from some backwater planet." Vexer swallowed hard but held his ground. "With respect, Admiral, these primitives destroyed our probe in seconds. Their weapons are unlike anything we've encountered before. If we push them too far, they may retaliate in ways we can't predict." Krylax glared at him, his jaw tightening. He wanted to argue, to dismiss Vexer's concerns as cowardice. But deep down, he knew there was truth in the commander's words. Humanity wasn't just unpredictable, they were dangerous. And danger was something the Zorathians hadn't faced in centuries. Back on the Vanguard the crew began running simulations to analyze the brief encounter. Using the data collected during the probe's scan, Lieutenant Carter attempted to piece together how the aliens' technology worked. What he discovered surprised him and worried him. "Captain," Ryan called out, his tone urgent. Laura walked over to his station, leaning in to see the screen. "Look at this," he continued, pointing to a series of graphs and charts. "Their scanning tech is incredibly sophisticated, but it has a weakness. When we fired that electromagnetic pulse, it disrupted their systems completely. If we target the right frequency, we might be able to disable their ships entirely." Laura's brow furrowed. "Are you saying we could take them down if it comes to a fight?" Ryan hesitated. "Maybe, but only if we act fast. Their shields are strong, but they seem vulnerable to certain types of energy bursts. If we can replicate the effect of that pulse on a larger scale, we might stand a chance." Laura finished for him. She straightened up, her mind racing. This information changed everything. Humanity wasn't helpless against the Zorathians. They had a potential advantage. But using it would require careful planning and a lot of luck. Meanwhile, aboard the Zorathian ship, Admiral Krylax ordered his engineers to run their own simulations. They analyzed the human warship's design, its weapons, and the mysterious pulse that had destroyed their probe. The results were alarming. Humanity's technology was crude compared to theirs, but it was effective and adaptable. In a direct confrontation, the humans might exploit weaknesses the Zorathians hadn't even considered. As both sides prepared for the possibility of future conflict, an uneasy truce settled over the void between them. Neither fully trusted the other, but neither was ready to strike again. Not yet. For now, the stars remained silent witnesses to the fragile balance of power. Laura gazed out the viewport, her thoughts heavy. Humanity had taken its first step onto the galactic stage, and already it had drawn the attention of a powerful foe. Whether that foe became an ally or an enemy depended on choices yet to be made. One thing was clear. The universe was far more complicated and dangerous than anyone on Earth had imagined. Days passed without any sign of the Zorathians. The Vanguard remained in its position near the dying star, its crew alternating between moments of cautious optimism and lingering tension. Captain Laura Hayes spent much of her time on the bridge, reviewing reports and discussing strategies with her officers. Though the immediate threat seemed to have faded, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The Zorathians had retreated, but they hadn't disappeared, and neither had their interest in humanity. Dr. Emily Grant worked tirelessly in her lab, analyzing every scrap of data collected during the encounter. She replayed the alien messages over and over, searching for hidden meanings or patterns that might reveal more about their intentions. "They're hiding something," she muttered to herself one evening, rubbing her temples as she stared at the glowing screen. Their words were too careful, too measured. They didn't want us to know who they really are. Lieutenant Ryan Carter joined her later, carrying the tray of food. He set it down beside her workstation and leaned against the wall. "You've been at this for hours," he said. "Take a break. You're not going to crack their secrets overnight." Emily sighed but nodded. "I know, but every detail matters, Ryan. If we miss even one piece of the puzzle, it could cost us later." She gestured to the screen, where fragments of the Zorathian language were displayed. "Look at this. Their syntax is complex, almost mathematical. It's like they think in equations instead of emotions." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Maybe that's why they backed off. We don't play by their rules. They probably expected us to fold under pressure, but instead, we hit back." Emily smiled faintly. "That's exactly what worries me. They underestimated us once, and now they're scared. But fear can make people do reckless things." Meanwhile, Aboard the Zorethian mothership, Commander Vexer faced mounting scrutiny from Admiral Krylax. The Admiral had summoned him to the command deck yet again, his sharp eyes boring into Vexer as if trying to pierce through his thoughts. "You still believe avoiding conflict is our best option?" Krylax demanded, his tone dripping with skepticism. Vexer met his gaze calmly. "Yes, Admiral. Humanity's unpredictability makes them a unique threat. Direct confrontation could lead to outcomes we cannot control. Diplomacy may be our strongest weapon here." Krylax snorted. "Diplomacy? With primitives? This isn't about making friends, Vexer. It's about ensuring the Empire's dominance. If humans pose a risk, we eliminate it. Simple as that." "But at what cost?" Vexer countered. "Their weapons are powerful, and their tactics are unconventional. Even if we win, the losses would be significant. Is that truly worth it?" The Admiral hesitated, his expression darkening. For all his bluster, he knew Vexer had a point. Engaging humanity directly carried risks that could destabilize the Empire. Still, the idea of backing down rankled him. "Fine," he said finally. "We'll continue monitoring them. For now. But if they step out of line, there will be no mercy." Back on the Vanguard *, Laura called a meeting with her senior staff. The room was dimly lit, the hum of the ship's systems providing a steady backdrop as everyone gathered around the table. "Here's the situation," Laura began, her voice firm but calm. "The Zorethians are gone, but they're watching us. We need to decide how to handle this moving forward." Emily spoke up first. "From what I've analyzed, they're advanced, but not invincible. Their technology has weaknesses, especially when it comes to energy-based attacks. That pulse we fired, it disrupted their systems completely." Ryan nodded. "Which means we have leverage, if we use it wisely. But we also need to prepare for the worst. If they come back, it might not be with words." Laura considered their input carefully. "Agreed. We'll keep working on improving our defenses and developing countermeasures. At the same time, we'll send a message to Earth Command. They need to know what happened here, and what humanity might be facing." As the meeting concluded, Laura stayed behind, staring at the star map projected on the wall. Each pinprick of light represented countless possibilities. New worlds, new allies, new enemies. Humanity's journey into space was just beginning, and already it had brought them face to face with a power far greater than themselves. Yet amidst the uncertainty, one thing gave her hope: humanity's resilience. Against all odds, they had stood their ground. And if the Zorethians, or anyone else, tried to push them aside, they would find that humanity was not so easily intimidated. For better or worse, the galaxy now knew Earth was here, and it would remember. The next day, Captain Laura Hayes made a decision that surprised even her closest crew members. She ordered the Vanguard to move closer to the edge of the dying star's orbit, positioning the ship in a way that maximized its visibility. It was a bold move, almost like waving a flag in front of an unknown predator. But Laura had her reasons. "If the Zorethians are watching us," she explained to Lieutenant Ryan Carter, "then let them see we're not afraid. We've got nothing to hide." Ryan frowned, his hands gripping the back of a chair on the bridge. "You think this is a good idea? What if they take it as a challenge?" Laura shrugged slightly, her expression calm but determined. "Maybe they will, but I'd rather face their reaction now than wait for them to strike when we least expect it. Besides, showing confidence might make them think twice about underestimating us again." Dr. Emily Grant wasn't entirely convinced either. "It's risky," she said, joining the conversation. "We still don't know much about their psychology. For all we know, this could provoke them into doing something drastic." Laura turned to face her. "And for all we know, sitting quietly won't stop them from attacking later. Either way, we're taking a risk. At least this way, we stay in control of the situation." As the Vanguard adjusted its position, sensors picked up faint energy readings nearby. The Zorathian mothership hadn't left the area after all. It had simply retreated to a safe distance, lurking just beyond visual range. When the aliens detected the human ship moving, they reacted immediately. Their own vessel shifted slightly, though it remained cloaked from sight. Commander Vexer watched the movement on his screen with growing concern. "They're testing us," he murmured to Admiral Krylax. "They want to see how we'll respond." Krylax grunted, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. "Then let's give them something to think about." He turned to one of his officers. "Send another message. Tell them we're aware of their actions and demand an explanation." Vexer hesitated. "Admiral, provoking them further may not be wise. They've already shown they're capable of defending themselves." But Krylax wasn't listening. His pride wouldn't allow him to back down again. "Do it," he snapped. "If they want to play games, we'll show them who sets the rules." Back on the Vanguard *, the alien message arrived moments later. Dr. Emily Grant translated it quickly, her brow furrowing as she read the words aloud. "Your movements are noted. Explain your intentions." Laura smirked faintly. "Well, that didn't take long," she said, addressing her crew. Turning to Emily, she added, "Reply with this. Our intentions are peaceful. We seek knowledge and understanding. If you wish to avoid conflict, then open a dialogue." Emily typed out the response and sent it. The seconds ticked by as everyone waited anxiously for a reply. When it came, the tone was different this time, not aggressive, but cautious. Dialogue requires trust. Prove yours. Laura leaned forward, intrigued. "Prove it, huh?" She thought for a moment before turning to Ryan. "What do you think they mean by that?" Ryan rubbed his chin. "Could be a trap. Or maybe they want us to lower our shields or disarm some systems as a gesture of goodwill." Laura shook her head firmly. "No, we're not giving up any advantage until we know more. Let's prove ourselves another way." She nodded toward Emily. "Send this. Trust begins with action. We invite you to meet us halfway for further discussion." The message was sent, and once again the crew held their breath. This time, the response took longer to arrive. When it finally did, it carried a surprising note of curiosity. Agreed. Prepare coordinates for neutral ground. A murmur of relief spread across the bridge. The Zorathians were willing to talk, but where would this lead? Laura felt a flicker of hope mixed with unease. Diplomacy was always better than war, but negotiating with an unknown species came with its own dangers. Later that evening, Laura stood alone in her quarters, staring at a holographic map of the surrounding space. Neutral ground meant compromise, but it also meant stepping into uncharted territory. Humanity was about to take its first real step onto the galactic stage, and there was no guarantee of success. Still, as she gazed at the stars, Laura allowed herself a small smile. Whatever happened next, humanity had proven one thing. It wasn't going to back down. And that, she thought, might be enough to earn respect, even from beings as powerful as the Zorathians. The coordinates for neutral ground arrived shortly after the Zorathians agreed to meet. It was a barren asteroid field, far from both the dying star and any inhabited systems. Captain Laura Hayes studied the location on her screen, noting its isolation. "It's perfect," she said aloud, though no one else was in the room. No distractions, no advantages for either side. She called a meeting with her senior staff to prepare for the encounter. The mood in the briefing room was tense but focused. Everyone knew this meeting could shape humanity's future. Whether it led to peace or conflict remained to be seen. "We're flying into uncharted territory here," Laura began, addressing her crew. "We don't know what to expect, so we need to be ready for anything. Lieutenant Carter, I want you to oversee the deployment of our stealth drone. If they try something sneaky, we need eyes on them." Ryan nodded. "Already working on it, Captain. The drone will give us real-time intel without tipping them off." "Good," Laura replied. She turned to Dr. Emily Grant. Emily, I need you to keep monitoring their communication patterns. If they slip up and reveal something useful, I want to know about it immediately." Emily adjusted her glasses and gave a firm nod. "Understood. I'll stay glued to my station." Laura then addressed the entire group. "This isn't just about us anymore. Humanity's reputation is on the line. We have to show them that we're intelligent, capable, and willing to cooperate, but also that we won't tolerate aggression. Let's make sure they understand that." As the Vanguard approached the designated area, the crew prepared for the possibility of deception. Shields were raised, weapons powered up, and every sensor array calibrated to maximum sensitivity. Despite the precautions, Laura couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability. They were about to face an alien species whose technology and motives were still largely unknown. Meanwhile, aboard the Zorathian mothership, Admiral Krylax paced the command deck, his frustration evident. "This is foolishness," he muttered under his breath. "Meeting them halfway. What does it prove?" Commander Vexer stood nearby, attempting to calm the situation. "Admiral, this proves we're willing to negotiate. Diplomacy may not be our usual approach, but it's necessary here. Humanity has shown they can defend themselves, and they've earned the right to be taken seriously." Krylax glared at him. "Earned? Don't be absurd. They're primitives playing at being warriors. If we wanted, we could crush them in moments. But at what cost?" Vexer countered. "Their unpredictability makes them dangerous. Better to talk now than fight later." Reluctantly, Krylax agreed to proceed with the plan. He ordered his engineers to prepare a shuttlecraft for the rendezvous. The vessel would carry a small delegation, including Vexer, who would serve as the lead negotiator. As the shuttle detached from the mothership and headed toward the asteroid field, Krylax watched silently, his jaw clenched tight. On board the Vanguard Laura and her team waited anxiously. Through the viewport, they finally spotted the sleek, metallic form of the Zorathian shuttle emerging from the darkness. It hovered cautiously near the largest asteroid, its engines humming softly. Laura took a deep breath before speaking into the ship's intercom. "Everyone, stay sharp. This is it." She turned to Ryan. "Let's bring the shuttle aboard. Keep your hand on the trigger if anything feels off." The docking bay doors opened, and the alien craft entered smoothly, coming to rest on the platform. Moments later, the airlock hissed open, and 3 figures stepped through. Their appearance was striking. They were tall and slender, with smooth, grayish skin and large, luminous eyes. They wore fitted uniforms that shimmered faintly in the light. Commander Vexer stepped forward, his movements deliberate but cautious. "I am Commander Vexer of the Zorathian Empire," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We are here to discuss terms." Laura stepped forward to meet him, her posture confident but respectful. "I'm Captain Laura Hayes of the United Earth Fleet. Welcome aboard the Vanguard *. Let's talk." For a moment, neither side moved. Then Vexer inclined his head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement. Laura mirrored the motion, signaling a tentative start to their dialogue. As the 2 groups gathered around a table in the conference room, the atmosphere was heavy with unspoken tension. Both sides were guarded, their words carefully chosen. Yet beneath the caution lay a flicker of hope. Perhaps understanding was possible, even between such vastly different civilizations. But trust would take time, and patience was a luxury neither side had much of. The conference room aboard the Vanguard was small but functional, its walls lined with glowing panels that cast a soft light over the table. Captain Laura Hayes sat at one end, her hands resting lightly on the surface as she studied the 3 Zorathians across from her. Commander Vexer had introduced himself and his companions, a scientist named Trellis and a security officer called Kryn. But their expressions remained unreadable, their large eyes betraying little emotion. Laura began the discussion cautiously. "Thank you for coming," she said, her tone polite but firm. "We're here because we believe communication is better than conflict. Do you agree?" Vexer nodded slowly. Yes, but understand this. Our empire has rules, and those rules must be respected. Your actions have raised questions about your intentions. Laura leaned forward slightly, choosing her words carefully. Our intention is survival. Humanity is still learning how to navigate space, but we value peace, if it's given freely. What do you want from us? Vexer hesitated before answering. Knowledge. Understanding. You've proven yourselves resourceful. We underestimated you, and that mistake will not happen again. The admission surprised Laura, though she didn't let it show. Instead, she pressed further. Then tell us about yourselves. Why did you scan our ship? What made you think it was acceptable to invade our space without warning? Trillis, the Zorathian scientist, spoke up for the first time. His voice was softer than Vexer's, almost melodic. It was standard procedure. Our probes explore unknown territories to assess potential threats. When we detected your vessel, curiosity drove us to investigate. We did not anticipate resistance or retaliation. Laura raised an eyebrow. Curiosity doesn't justify intrusion. If roles were reversed, how would you react? Kryn, the security officer, shifted uncomfortably, his sharp features tightening. We would defend ourselves, as you did. Perhaps we misjudged your capabilities, but there is no need for hostility now. Lieutenant Ryan Carter, standing quietly by the door, exchanged a glance with Dr. Emily Grant, who sat nearby. Both understood the subtext of the conversation. The Zorathians were trying to save face while acknowledging humanity's strength. It was a delicate balance, and one wrong move could shatter it. Laura decided to shift the tone slightly. Let's focus on moving forward. If we're going to coexist, we need clear boundaries. No more unannounced scans or probes. Mutual respect is key. Vexer considered her words, then nodded. Agreed. In return, we expect transparency from you. Share information about your technology and capabilities. Prove that you seek cooperation, not conquest. Emily interjected gently. That works both ways. If we share knowledge, you must do the same. True understanding requires trust from both sides. For a moment, silence filled the room as the Zorathians exchanged glances. Finally, Vexer spoke. Very well. We'll provide limited data about our systems. But know this. Betrayal will not be tolerated. Laura met his gaze steadily. Neither will aggression. Let's start small. Exchange cultural insights. Show us what matters to your people, and we'll do the same. Over the next hour, the conversation shifted to less volatile topics. The Zorathians described their society, a highly structured civilization built on logic and efficiency. They valued order above all else, viewing chaos as a threat to progress. In turn, Laura shared stories of Earth's diversity, its struggles, and its resilience. She spoke of humanity's drive to overcome challenges, emphasizing their adaptability and determination. At one point, Vexer paused, seemingly struck by something Laura had said. Your species thrives in adversity, he observed. That quality is rare and dangerous. It makes you unpredictable. Laura smiled faintly. Dangerous only if provoked. Otherwise, it's a strength, one we hope to use for good. As the meeting drew to a close, both sides agreed to maintain open lines of communication. The Zorathians promised to send a formal proposal outlining terms for continued dialogue, while Laura assured them humanity would respond thoughtfully. When the aliens departed, the crew gathered in the corridor outside the conference room, buzzing with quiet excitement. Lieutenant Carter broke the silence. Do you think they mean it? About wanting peace? Laura exhaled slowly. I don't know. But I do know this. We stood our ground, and they listened. That's a start. Dr. Emily Grant nodded. A shaky start, maybe, but a start nonetheless. As the Vanguard returned to its course, Laura couldn't help but feel a flicker of optimism. Humanity had taken its first real step toward joining the galactic community. Whether it led to friendship or further challenges, one thing was certain. Earth would never be alone again. The days following the meeting with the Zorathians passed quickly, but the crew of the Vanguard remained on edge. Captain Laura Hayes spent most of her time reviewing the notes from their discussion, poring over every detail to ensure they hadn't missed anything important. The Zorathians had promised to send a formal proposal for continued dialogue, but so far, no message had arrived. The silence was unnerving. Lieutenant Ryan Carter tried to reassure her as they stood together on the bridge. "Captain, it's only been a few days. They might need time to process everything, too." Laura nodded, though her expression remained troubled. "You're right. But waiting is hard when so much is at stake. Every hour without word makes me wonder if we pushed too far, or not far enough." Dr. Emily Grant joined them, holding a tablet filled with updates on the alien data they'd collected during the encounter. "I've been analyzing their language again," she said. "There's something about their tone that feels cautious, like they're testing us even now." Ryan frowned. "Testing? You think they're still suspicious?" Emily shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe they're just as unsure about us as we are about them. Either way, I don't think this is over." As if on cue, an alert sounded across the ship. A new transmission had been detected, this time stronger and clearer than before. The message was brief but direct. Prepare for arrival at designated coordinates. Formal exchange begins. Laura straightened immediately. "They're here," she announced, her voice steady despite the rush of adrenaline. "Everyone to their stations. Let's make sure we're ready." Moments later, the massive form of the Zorathian mothership emerged from the void, dwarfing the Vanguard in size and scale. Its sleek design shimmered under the light of nearby stars, exuding power and precision. For a moment, the human crew could only stare in awe. Even Laura felt a pang of intimidation, but she refused to let it show. Commander Vexer contacted the Vanguard shortly after, his voice calm but authoritative. "We have arrived as agreed. Are you prepared to proceed?" Laura responded without hesitation. "We're ready. What's next?" Vexer explained that both ships would remain at a safe distance, while smaller shuttles ferried representatives between them. Humanity's delegation would include Laura, Ryan, and Emily, along with 2 security officers. The plan was for each side to visit the other's vessel, offering a chance to learn more about their respective cultures and technologies. When the shuttle docked with the Zorathian mothership, Laura stepped aboard cautiously, her eyes scanning the interior. Everything was smooth and metallic, with faintly glowing panels lining the walls. The air smelled strange, clean, almost sterile, and the hum of machinery echoed softly around them. Admiral Krylax greeted them personally, his imposing figure radiating authority. Though his demeanor was stern, he extended a gesture of respect, a slight bow of his head. "Welcome to our vessel," he said. "This is your opportunity to understand who we are." Over the next several hours, the humans were given a guided tour of the ship. They marveled at its advanced systems, from the gravity generators to the energy conduits powering the engines. Trellis, the Zorathian scientist, explained how their technology worked, though he avoided sharing specifics about weapons or defensive measures. In return, Laura invited the Zorathians to visit the Vanguard *. When Admiral Krylax and his team stepped onto the human ship, their reactions were subtle but telling. Their large eyes widened slightly at the sight of Earth artifacts displayed in the common areas. Photos of landscapes, musical instruments, and even a small painting created by one of the crew members. "This is fascinating," Vexer admitted, studying the items. "Your culture values creativity and individuality. It is unusual." Laura smiled faintly. "It's what makes us human. We're not perfect, but we strive to grow and improve. Maybe there's something you can learn from us, as we hope to learn from you." By the end of the exchange, tensions had eased somewhat. Both sides seemed genuinely curious about each other, though trust remained fragile. Before departing, Admiral Krylax made a surprising offer. If you wish to deepen this understanding, we propose inviting your people to visit our home world. Under supervision, of course. Laura hesitated, weighing the risks and rewards. Finally, she nodded. We'll consider it. Thank you for the invitation. As the Vanguard pulled away from the Zorathian mothership, the crew gathered on the bridge, reflecting on what they'd experienced. Ryan broke the silence first. Do you think this means we're allies now? Laura shook her head. Not yet, but we've taken a step closer. And sometimes that's all you can ask for. Emily added softly, one day, humanity might find its place among the stars. Today feels like the beginning of that journey. Laura looked out at the endless expanse of space, her heart swelling with quiet pride. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity had proven it belonged in the galaxy. And that was a start worth celebrating. The Vanguard drifted quietly through the void, its crew reflecting on the monumental events of the past few days. Captain Laura Hayes stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars as they stretched endlessly before her. The encounter with the Zorathians had been unpredictable, tense, and ultimately transformative. For the first time in human history, Earth's representatives had stepped onto the galactic stage and held their ground. Lieutenant Ryan Carter joined her after a while, leaning against the railing beside her. Do you think we made the right choice? He asked, his voice low. Trusting them enough to even consider visiting their homeworld. Laura didn't answer immediately. She turned the question over in her mind, weighing the risks and rewards. Finally, she said, I think it's a gamble worth taking. If we refuse every opportunity to connect, we'll never grow. But yes, it's risky. They could be setting us up for something bigger. Ryan nodded thoughtfully. Still, it feels like progress. We didn't back down, and neither did they. That has to count for something. Dr. Emily Grant entered the room moments later, carrying a tablet filled with notes from their recent exchange. I've been going over everything they showed us, she said, excitement creeping into her voice. Their technology is incredible, but there's something else that stands out. They're curious about us. Not just our weapons or defenses, but us. Our culture, our values, our way of thinking. Laura smiled faintly. Maybe that's why they backed off when we destroyed their probe. They saw we weren't just machines. We're people. People who fight back when pushed too far. Emily nodded. Exactly. And now, they're trying to figure out if we're worth dealing with, or if we're too dangerous to ignore. Back on the Zorathian mothership, Admiral Krylax paced the command deck, his frustration simmering beneath the surface. Despite his outward confidence, he couldn't deny that humanity had shaken him. Their unpredictability was unlike anything he'd encountered before. Commander Vexer watched him carefully, sensing the tension. Admiral, Vexer began cautiously, we've gained valuable insight. Humanity is not what we expected. Their strength lies not only in their technology, but in their adaptability. Ignoring them would be a mistake. Krylax stopped pacing and glared at Vexer. You sound almost admiring, he snapped. They're primitives playing at being warriors, nothing more. Perhaps, Vexer replied calmly. But even primitives can change the course of history if underestimated. We must tread carefully. Krylax grunted but said nothing more. Deep down, he knew Vexer was right. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with a species far older and more advanced. Whether they became allies or enemies remained to be seen, but ignoring them was no longer an option. Days turned into weeks as both civilizations processed the encounter. On board the Vanguard the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the possibility of visiting the Zorathian homeworld. Laura insisted on running simulations and drills to ensure they were ready for any scenario. We don't know what to expect, she reminded her team during one briefing. So we prepare for everything. Finally, Earth Command responded to the report Laura had sent. Their message was clear: proceed with caution, but seize the opportunity to establish peaceful relations. Humanity's future depended on finding its place among the stars, and this was a chance to take a step forward. When the day came to leave the system, the Vanguard turned its engines toward home, carrying with it the weight of newfound responsibility. As the ship accelerated into the depths of space, Laura stood on the bridge, watching the stars blur into streaks of light. "We did good work here," she said softly, addressing no one in particular. "Not perfect, but good. And that's enough for now." Ryan glanced at her, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Good work. I'd say we changed the galaxy." Laura chuckled. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Changing the galaxy takes time and patience." As the Vanguard disappeared into the vastness of space, the seeds of a new chapter in human history were sown. Humanity had faced its first real test among the stars and passed. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but for the first time, Earth wasn't alone. It had taken its place among the cosmos, ready to face whatever challenges lay beyond the horizon.